Have you noticed something strange? You didn't move to a bigger house. You didn't buy a better car. You didn't upgrade your lifestyle. Yet somehow, life feels heavier on your wallet than ever. The same groceries cost more. The same rent feels tighter. The same salary feels smaller. And you start asking yourself, am I doing something wrong? Why does it feel like I'm falling behind even though nothing changed? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Life did change, just not in a way you can see. It's like standing on an escalator that's slowly moving down. You're walking at the same speed, but the floor beneath you is sinking. So from the outside, it looks like you're standing still. From reality, you're losing ground every month. Prices rise quietly. Fees multiply silently. Standards creep up socially. Expectations grow. And your income? It moves in straight lines, while everything else moves in curves. This is why it feels like your money is leaking from invisible holes. Not because you became careless, not because you got greedy, but because the cost of existing is rising, even when your lifestyle is not. There is a force that steals from you every day, without sending a bill. It doesn't knock. It doesn't announce itself. It just quietly takes. Inflation, not the headline number you hear on the news, but the real one you feel in your life. The slow creep in: rent, food, transport, education, healthcare, subscriptions, little fees that didn't exist before. Each one feels small. Together they change the entire weight of living. It's like carrying a backpack and adding one coin every week. You don't notice the first few. One day your shoulders ache, and you don't know why. Your salary usually grows in steps. Prices grow in streams. So even when your income rises, your purchasing power often stays the same, or shrinks. And here's the psychological trick. Because nothing dramatic happens in 1 month, your brain adapts. You adjust spending. You cut small comforts. You tell yourself it's just a tight phase. But the phase never ends. Because the thief never stops. Here's the part most people don't realize. Life doesn't just get more expensive. The minimum required to feel okay keeps rising. What used to be a comfortable life slowly becomes the new baseline. A phone that once felt like a luxury now feels like a necessity. Internet, streaming, apps, software, education for kids, health insurance, even basic outings. None of these feel optional anymore. They feel like the price of entry to modern life. So even if you don't upgrade, the definition of normal quietly does. It's like playing a game where the floor slowly lifts. You're standing still, but the ceiling is getting closer. Your money isn't just fighting inflation. It's fighting expectation inflation. What society considers basic gets more expensive every year. And your brain absorbs this without asking. You start feeling pressure without knowing the source. You feel behind without knowing the race. You feel anxious without a clear threat. When life feels expensive, your brain goes into defense mode. Not panic, not collapse, just caution. You start thinking smaller. You delay risks. You postpone big moves. You choose stability over possibility. You trade long-term growth for short-term safety. Not because you're lazy, not because you lack ambition, but because your mind is quietly saying, don't fall. You can't afford to fall. So you avoid, starting something uncertain, investing in yourself deeply, taking time off to build skills, making bold financial moves, thinking in decades instead of months. You become a manager of survival instead of a builder of futures. And here's the loop. The more expensive life feels, the more conservative you become. The more conservative you become, the harder it is to grow faster than costs. So, the gap stays. The pressure stays. The feeling of just getting by becomes permanent. Most people think the problem is things are getting expensive. But the real problem is their life is still playing a linear game in a world that became exponential. They earn in straight lines. Costs rise in curves. They trade hours for money, but prices compound. They save slowly. But inflation moves every day. It's like rowing a boat upstream with a paddle. while the current is powered by an engine. So no matter how disciplined you are, how careful you budget, how little you upgrade, you still feel like you're being pushed back because the game changed, but your strategy didn't. You're trying to protect money when you should be trying to outgrow the environment. That's the hidden difference between people who always feel, I can't get ahead, and people who start feeling, I'm finally pulling away. When life gets more expensive, most people react by tightening. They cut, they delay, they downsize dreams. They focus on not losing. But the people who stop feeling constantly squeezed make a different shift. They stop trying to survive the system and start trying to outgrow the system. Instead of asking, how do I spend less? They ask, how do I become more valuable? How do I build income that scales? How do I create leverage that grows faster than costs? They move from defense to offense, from protecting every dollar to building engines that create dollars, from budgeting every expense to upgrading skills, ownership, and systems. Because in a world where prices compound, expectations rise, and the baseline keeps moving up, the only real safety is not stability, it's momentum. Momentum that comes from skills that pay more over time, assets that grow while you sleep, systems that don't depend on one salary, a mindset that thinks in decades, not months. Once you have that, something changes emotionally. Life may still be expensive, but it no longer feels heavy. Because you're no longer standing on a sinking floor. You're building upward while the floor rises. And that's the difference between a life that always feels tight and a life that finally starts to feel like it's opening up.